So we're joined all the way from Morgantown, West Virginia, by my friend Shacara Johnson, 23-year Army veteran of the United States military. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools: Rosa Scott, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. All of our college career readiness classes, all of our JROTC instructors across our great district. We thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk about your incredible military career.
Thank you guys for having me. I am so happy to be here.
Now, you're originally from Detroit, Michigan. And just tell us how you led yourself to join, what led you to join the military, because everybody's got a different story. Everybody's got a different reason they join. And, um, and just talk about that whole process, because I think it's important for our young people to understand that joining the military is not like the movies. It is not like, we all saw Full Metal Jacket
Mhm.
and saw the horror of of a boot camp that the movies portrayed, but it is far fetched from that. So just tell us a little bit about you joining the military, and then once you got in, how it all worked.
So my story is a bit of um a tale. So much so that I actually wrote a book that I
Oh,
just
cool.
yes, my book just got published because I would tell people my different stories about how I joined the military, how this all became about, and they're like, "You should write a book." So I decided to write a book. So I joined the military because of ROTC.
Okay.
So I was in JROTC. So shout out to all of my JROTC people that's watching this. You made the right decision. I was in JROTC all 4 years of high school. I actually my AI and SAI were First Sergeant Reed and First Sergeant Wallace. Yes, I after 20 plus years, I still remember their names because that's just how great they were. And you already know great instructors leave everlasting impacts on your life. So when I first joined JROTC, I told First Sergeant Wallace and First Sergeant Reed, I said, I'm going to be a sergeant major in the Army one day. And First Sergeant Wallace was like, I think you can do it. I think you should do it. And so through ROTC, I made it through all the ranks. I became the sergeant major in ROTC. Then they switched me over to the officer side, and then I became the commandant for ROTC. So much so that I actually became the G5 for the whole city of Detroit
Oh, wow.
in ROTC. So ROTC was near and dear to my heart. I had an aunt, my auntie Kathy. She was in the military. She did 20 years in the service. She was is 42 Alpha now, but back then I forgot what it was. But she was a human resources sergeant. And I always looked up to my Auntie Kathy because Auntie Kathy would come home and it was like she was just this cool person. She was a female. She was powerful. She knew things. She just had this strength. So when you have an aunt that you can look to like this, and then you're in ROTC and you're seeing all the things because I love drill and ceremony. That is my biggest pet peeve. I am a drill and ceremony head person. So I loved it all. And I decided, okay, I think I want to do this. And then I'm not gonna say unfortunately, but I'm gonna say unfortunately I made decisions that we all should not be making. Listen to your parents. Listen to your parents. My mom told me to stay away from boys. I did not want to listen, and I got pregnant my senior year of high school. And so life changed. So I was supposed to went to college. I wanted to be an ROTC in college because I wanted to, go. That didn't happen. So I decided to join the reserves. And that way I can still get my money for school, still take care of my son, and still try to keep on with the path that I wanted, just altered because I made a different type of decision that I should have made better judgment on. When I got into the reserves, I saw this is not the army that I wanted to be in. I thought I wanted to be in a real army. I didn't want to do this. And single parents are it's a lot of red tape to become active duty when you're a single parent. And so one day, one of my sergeants was like, "Hey, you ever heard of AGR?" And I was like, "No." And so he told me what AGR was, Active Guard Reserve. I applied for AGR and I've been active duty since. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. I had somebody come in. I'm sorry. All right, so we'll talk about your MOS in a second because I think that's really cool. Hold on one second. All right. Sorry, I got buzzed by the office on that one. But like I said, we want to talk about your MOS because I think it's cool how really any occupation in the military, in the civilian world, you can do it, learn it in the military.
Hmm.
But I think there's a lot of misconceptions because if I'd have known then what I know now about the military and how it can benefit you, I will say without a doubt I would have joined.
Hmm.
Because a big misconception that I've suggested to so many young people, maybe you should consider joining the military. You can go here. You can still go to college, still have a family, still if you're worried about paying, the military will pay. You can get this training. Especially right now, if you want to get into tech training, I encourage military as your first choice because you're going to get high tech training and then get veteran status for an interview. But anyway, I'll have kids say, well. I don't want to cut my hair. I don't want to have somebody yell at me. And I'm like, do you understand that in basic training, I never spent one day in the military, but I can tell you this. In the military, they want you to complete the basic training. They're not trying to make you quit. They don't get any better if you wash out. Their job is to teach you and to make sure you're the best you can be at it. It is not to scare you or hurt you or intimidate you. It is to make you stronger mentally and to make you stronger physically.
Absolutely.
And then on top of that, I'll have kids say, well, I don't want to get shot at. Well, so few of the jobs in the military are combat related. The overwhelming majority of the jobs in the military are support, like your MOS, which is a great support MOS, which is a great job to translate into the civilian world. So
Mhm.
even though you do get the basic combat training, it is not a where you just going and kicking down doors and blowing stuff up. Now, if you
Exactly.
want to do that, they can find a place for you. But
Mhm.
the majority of the jobs in the military are support. A lot of technology, a lot of communications, a lot of transportation, a lot of finance, a lot of HR, even medical. My uncle, who spent over 20 years in the Navy, was a doctor in the
Yep.
military. So there really is so many ways to get involved in the military.
I try to tell people all the time, the military is such a big piece. It's a big puzzle, it's a big pie. And it's a small slither of what you think you know. Because there we have veterinarian services.
Wow.
I mean, it's insane. It's a whole different world. And so exactly what you just said, especially a lot of these kids who are having, because we know that financial aid has changed significantly in the last year or so. And if you know that your family doesn't have $100,000 put up in the bank to send you away to college, but you know for a fact that you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you just wanted to go to school to get your degree. The military is obviously one of those things for you. Um, my kids have decided because of course they get benefits though because my husband's in the National Guard and then I'm in AGR. So they get our benefits so their schooling is paid for
Wow.
after some of the things they've seen me go through as far as being a single parent most of their life through the military, they're like, no, I don't want to put my mom back through the military, let her retire in peace, and we're good. Because people ask me all the time, well, why don't your kids go into the military? Because they don't want to. They have served their time. Because what people fail to realize is that our families serve just like we
Yeah.
serve. And I it'll be 6 years that me and my husband have been married this year. Prior
Oh,
to me and my husband being
congratulations.
married, I was a single parent of four and I dragged them across all these different state lines. So when I have other, young adults, even my son's friends have contacted me and they're like, they all call me mom. So they're like, Mom, what do you think about me joining the military? And I'm like, what do you want to do? Because one thing about an actual service member, and let me not say an actual service member, because recruiters are actual service members. But one thing about a service member that's serving and that's not a recruiter, um, we're going to tell you something that the recruiters are not, because recruiters' job is to recruit you and to tell you what you need to hear or what you want to hear to come in. A person that's in is going to tell you what you should be hearing. I'm still to this day mad at my recruiter. Still mad at my recruiter. And I still know a lot of people that are mad at their recruiters to this day because I am a 92 Fox. My MOS is petroleum supply. And when I went to AIT is our advanced individual training. That is when we learn our specialty job.
Yeah.
And our training was 10 weeks long. We were in Victor Company. Victor Company was the biggest company in Fort Lee. And I was the only soldier in my company that did not have a bonus.
Wow.
The only. And the retention NCO, everybody is like, we're trying to figure this out because my main name is Green. So they're like, PFC Green don't have a bonus. How is this possible? Because at the time, everybody was getting $20,000, $20,000 bonus, $50,000 bonus, $10,000 bonus. And they're like, she should have gotten something. How did she not get a bonus? Come to find out, my recruiter never told me, well, maybe you should retake the ASVAB again because you need to be 2 points more to qualify for the bonus.
Wow.
Instead, she passed the ASVAB. Let's get her into the service.
Wow.
Because of course, if you telling me that I can get $50,000 and you know that I was a mom, I was a 19-year-old mom when I joined the military of a 1-year-old. If you know that I'm a mom and you know that I can use $50,000 extra and I was only one of the reserves, that would have been the humane thing to do to say, hey, you need 2 more points to qualify for the bonus because right now you don't qualify. I would have
Yeah.
retaken it as that. But that's another story. So when they call me, they're like, Mom, I want to go into the military. What do you think? And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? I had one that told me he wanted to do tech. And I said, okay. I broke it down to them, the different things that they do. You had a lot of these kids are, you already know the video games. So they're very big on um, coding and cyber this, cyber that. So it's like, as long as you score the right score on the ASVAB, you can go into those different services. You can do those different MOSs, and you can get you a high security clearance. You can make yourself profitable,
Big time.
and all you have to do is join the military. It is not about just blowing stuff up. So funny story when you said that. So I when I was in school for my master's degree, I was doing my internship. So I was working in classrooms. And when I would introduce myself to the kids and I would tell them, I'm in the military, the first question always was, how many people you kill? And this is seventh graders. I'm like, nobody. Do you really you really like shoot guns? Yes. Well, have you blew up a bomb? No. Because of course they see Call of Duty. They see Black Ops, all those other video games, and that's what they think the military is. And so I took that time to educate, and I taught the kids that, I've never done any of those things. Um, so yeah, I like to explain to anyone that's interested. I just did career day at my daughter's middle school last year, and I explained the same thing to the kids. It's about what you want to do your research, understand, because you need to make yourself profitable. You don't have to do a full 20 years in the military. That's not a requirement. You can go in, get your training, get your certifications, because they
There you
pay
go.
for it.
There
Do
you
your
go.
4 years and go to the house because now you have veteran status. Now you got all this training behind your belt. And guess what? Now you can go into a civilian sector and now everything that people had to go to school for 10, 15 years, you just got trained and done.
Absolutely. And the whole time you were banking money because the only bills you have when you're in the military is maybe your cell phone bill. Everything
Hmm.
you got free meals, you got a place to lay your head, you got free health care. So you don't have I have kids tell me all the time that I meet that are in the military. Well, I wanted to get training in this. I didn't want to pay for it. I wanted to be in a different place, and all those things were accomplished. And that's such a cool part of the military as well. You get to go different places. We have several alums of Belma Jackson that are all over the world right now. We have
Yep.
one in Anchorage, Alaska, one in Poland, one in Germany, one in Oklahoma. and they're
Yep.
seeing all the world. They're meeting people they never would have met. They're learning about all different cultures and getting to just meet literally people from every walk of life. Now, I did want to talk about your MOS because I think it's cool. You said you're a petroleum supply. I want to make sure I get it right. I know 42 Foxtrot, petroleum supply specialist.
92 Fox. Yes, petroleum supply specialist.
Not okay. 92 Fox, petroleum supply specialist. And look, that is something that takes a lot of skill, and I think a lot of research that people don't understand. That is a very scientific process. Obviously, the work of putting it in the vehicle or wherever it's going is important, but you guys have got to do some research and say if it's this kind of weather, the petroleum is not gonna work right. If we
A lot of
don't
math.
mix it correctly, different vehicles take different types of petroleum. So just talk about a little bit of the science of it, because I don't think people realize that there's a lot of science skills involved in military occupations.
It's a lot of science, it's a lot of math. And so, funny story, I can't stand math. I can't stand it. I numbers and me don't mix. If you tell me, Sergeant Johnson, go write a dissertation, I got you. I can write all day, every day. If you ask me to go and do three math problems right there, we gonna have a problem. You gonna have to work with me a little bit. So that's why when I became a Foxtrot, so it's the thing about me becoming a Foxtrot was when I sat down because of the whole ASVAB thing, um, I was only qualified for two positions. When I got to MEPS, that's the military entrance processing station. They said, all right, so this is the two jobs that you qualify for. 92 Fox. And when we say, so let me backtrack. So when kids are probably asked, what is she saying when they say Foxtrot and Alpha? It's 92F, but because we use the phonetic alphabet in the military, we identify those letters as the phonetic alphabet. So they said you qualify for 92 Foxtrot, which is petroleum supply, and 92 Golf, which is a cook. I said, I'll take the box. And she said, do you want to understand what it is? I said, yeah. Because when you said cook to me, I wasn't doing it. And I was 19. No, no, I was, no, no. And I'm glad I made that choice because when I see cooks get up at 2 in the morning to make sure breakfast is made for thousands of soldiers, I'm laying in my cot like, can't do it. So a Foxtrot, we have to learn density of fuel. We have to go because so it's so many different pieces of 92 Fox because I've been in a bag farm unit, which is where we set up the fuel system supply point. I've also been in a terminal ops unit. So it's different entities of what we do. But for the most part, the scientific and the mathematics of it is almost similar, but again, it's the same depending on what you're doing. So we have to normally figure out the how much fuel can this truck take? How much water is in this fuel? Is this fuel good? How much is in that bag? And do we need to recirculate? And so yes, it's and we have 92 Limas who are they're the specialists that actually test the fuel and we're the ones that distribute the fuel and weigh the fuel, all of the good stuff. But they're the ones that test the fuel. They're I call them the eggheads because they are the specialists of the science and the math. We only have to know about this much of the science and the math enough to know that this is not good fuel to go into this vehicle. Nope, we can't do that. They got too much water in it. So yeah,
Wow. Yeah, and that's something that the people don't understand. I mean, it's got to be transported. You don't want to take too much. You don't want to take too little. All that has to be calculated, and it's extremely important because you've got to move weapons, you've got to move people, you've got to move all type of things for the military to
hazmat.
run. So it is very, very important MOS. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before I get to their questions is uh, you were able to get a degree your undergrad for free from Grand Canyon University, and then you joined Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated as a grad member. And I have a lot of kids, whether they want to go to the military or not. They say they want to join these fraternities, and the Divine Nine MPHC has some unbelievable organizations, and we have several teachers here at all of our schools that are members. But the kids see the things on TikTok with the stepping and the strutting and the colors and I've been to a couple step shows in my day. It is a lot of fun. It is really cool. But you can't step and strut forever.
Mhm.
And the parties, once you get our age, you kind of get partied out. But there is something about the NPAC fraternities and sororities that people don't understand. First of all, there's the academic standard.
Yes.
Second of all, there's so much community service and so much networking that goes into it that is never seen.
Yes.
Because everybody sees all the fun party stuff, and that's more for the younger crowd. But it
Mhm.
really is instilling leadership for life. So just talk briefly about how SGRO and all these other great MPAC organizations really hold a high standard of leadership and academics.
So first off, shout out to the Blue and Gold, the Pretty Poodles, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Um, we just like you just said, people see the fun and they don't see the work.
Yeah.
And that is undergrad and grad because folks think that once undergrad is over, you get the grad chapter and it's just a whole bunch of old ladies sitting around chilling. No, it is not. We do a lot of community service. We have each different organization within the NPAC have their programs that they all focus on. The biggest thing that I can say all nine focus on is scholarship and service. It might be worded differently for each organization, but we give scholarships to children every year. And a lot of kids miss out on those scholarships because they're not understanding that, oh, I don't have to be attached to the organization to apply for the scholarship. I don't have to have a mama, a daddy, a auntie, a uncle, a grandma, a cousin in the organization to apply for the scholarship. I can apply for the scholarship as long as I have the GPA, as long as I can write an essay, whatever the requirements are, I can apply for the scholarship. So a lot of kids miss out on those scholarships, and sometimes those scholarships go up to $6,000, $7,000, sometimes even more, depending on your area, the organization, and what they're offering. So that's one of the biggest things I can say a lot of kids miss out on. Community service. We are huge on community service. Um, you might not know this, but Sigma Gamma Rho was the first of the Divine Nine to raise $1 million for St. Jude, and we are very proud of that.
As you should
Um,
be.
and we're still working. We still work very closely with St. Jude, and St. Jude. Right now, we're doing a lot with Red Cross. I'm actually donating blood in a couple of weeks again because we do a lot of blood donations for sickle cell research with Red Cross with our sorority. Um, the stepping, we step in grad chapters too. My stepping days is over, but we step. My stepping days is over because I just had knee replacement. So yeah, I'm gonna sit down now. I'll just sit there and do this with my sorors and lead them on. But my stepping days are over. Um, and yes, a lot of the kids they don't understand that there is work into it. The fun is always going to be had. That's in everything you do. Fun is always going to be had. But when the fun, in order to get to the fun, you have to do the work.
There you go.
I know with Sigma Gamma Rho, you have to have a 2.7 in undergrad and in grad to join. Other organizations are different. Some is 2.5, some is 3.0. Everybody is different, but you do have to have a certain GPA. People think that once they graduate from college, they can just, join in grad chapter and they'll be good. No, you still have to have that GPA to join. If you still don't have the GPA, you still can't join. I did join after getting my degree, and I was well into my adult years. And that's another misconception I think a lot of people get, that, oh, I'm in the military. I didn't go to regular college. I'm just an online college, and I got my degree. I wanted to join a sorority or fraternity. I never got a chance to do it. Why not? You have your degree now. Find a
Yep.
grad chapter, start participating with that grad chapter, go into their events, learn more about them, do your research, and then see if you can get an invitation extended to you to join that chapter that you want to join. You're never too old to join a chapter, just like you're never too old to go to school.
There you go. And I'm glad you mentioned the scholarship piece because a good friend of mine who's with the Mega Sci-Fi here in our grad chapter in Madison County tells me they have a few $1,000s every year that go unclaimed.
Hmm.
So for these kids looking for scholarships to go to college, we encourage all of them to look for that. These MPAC scholarships are available to anyone that qualifies. You do not have to join that organization because he every year without fail he texts me and say, "Hey, do you have anybody looking? We have a few thousand left."
Yep.
So that is a very very
It's saying
big
how much people
good
say
point.
we don't have anybody applying. It's unclaimed money.
There you go. Well, I do have some questions from the students, and these are
Okay.
all really good. I
Okay.
like these questions. This first one is Erin Gaines. She's in ninth grade, a member of our JROTC here at Velma Jackson High School. And she has a couple questions. She asks, what advice would you give to give someone who wants to join the military?
The the biggest piece of advice I would give someone who wants to join the military is do your research. And I know I hate when people always just say do your research, but when I say do your research, I'm saying know your what do you want to do, why do you want to do it, and how long you want to do it.
There you go.
If you go in with those questions and you're asking those questions, then you can get the answers to those questions. And if they don't align with your goals and your values, then it's not for you.
Yeah, and every branch, all the branches do a great job. It really depends on what you want to do.
Exactly.
So really look into what the requirements are. Look at, how much you'd be traveling. Some people want to travel the world. If you want to do that, look into the one that travels the most. So it really, really depends on the personal preference. And there's no right or wrong decision because nobody knows themselves better than yourself.
Yes. I do always
Now,
tell
her
these
other
kids
question,
too, that if they do decide to join active duty first. Don't just and
yeah,
I know some of my reserve counterparts gonna be mad when I say this, but it's the truth. Don't jump into the reserves. If you don't have a full-time job already,
yeah,
at home and you're pulling in some income, go active duty. Do your 3-year tour. And if this is for you, you continue on. If you like, I'm gonna go ahead and get a full-time job. I'll just go to the reserves and do this part-time, then you can do that. Because
yeah,
I too many times see kids that join the reserves thinking that, oh, I'm gonna just do a part-time because I just want, and then they go into the reserves, then they get back home, or as we like to say, they get back to the block, and then they realize I don't have a job. I
yeah.
don't I don't have anything going for me.
And you said a
They
word right
show
there.
say 1 weekend a month drill. As a private, you're making $127 maybe in the weekend after taxes and insurance is taken out. So you're bringing home less than a $200 paycheck once a month from the reserves. And then they're like, this is not what I thought this was going to be.
Yep,
Then they come, Sergeant Johnson, can I join the active duty? You can't. It is an act of Congress almost. And we know how Congress is working right now, slow,
yep.
to move a reservist and a National Guard member to active duty. You have to literally have a hardship that you can prove. And it's a lot of paperwork to prove that hardship for you to go active duty from the reserves and National Guard. So always start at the top and then go down.
There you go. Now, her other question, I love this too. She goes, did your training prepare you well for real world situations?
Yes. My training taught me how to be resilient. My training taught me how to think in my skin. I used to wear my heart on my sleeve all the time. You can tell me I don't like the way your hair looking out, and I would tear up and get upset because I was too busy with this thin skin and just emotional because I was worried about what everybody thought. My training toughened me up because my training taught me how to, first off, stop being such a girly girl because sleeping outside. I'm still scared of snakes though. That's not going to change.
Oh,
I am
I don't blame you at
terrified of
all.
snakes, and they're like, "How can you?" Don't say how can you. I'm still terrified of snakes, but my training has taught me survival in a different type of way.
Yeah, and you actually just got a good reaction on the snakes because I think everybody agrees with you on that one.
My daughter was
Well,
laughing at me because she found a snake outside our house, and I was like, "I got to burn the house down now." She was like, "Ma," I said, "No, I'm not going back outside."
I like this one. This is Cameron Nettles. He's in 10th grade, one of our football players here at Velma Jackson. And he
Okay.
asked, what is your plan after you retire from the military?
Well, considering the fact that I retire in 267 days, now that I'm counting. Um, my plan is actually to become a JROTC instructor. And right now, because like I just told you guys, I wrote my book. I am also doing speaking engagements and events for children, women, schools, different things like that. So outside of becoming a JROTC instructor, I want to continue to mentor um, young children.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get you in contact with our great JROTC instructors here because we are Army JROTC here at Velma Jackson, and we'll definitely get you all in contact. And our other schools, we have Air Force JROTC and Marine JROTC, all do just a wonderful job in their, it is a great retirement job for somebody that spent a lot of years active duty. I like this one. This is Jeremiah Williamson, also one of our football players. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, "What is the most enjoyable part about serving your country?"
Walking around and seeing the fruits of my labor of understanding how people know that they can be free.
Wow, love it.
To see the smiles on children's faces when they see, like my daughter doesn't like, she used to hate when I come to her school in uniform to pick her up because she's like, Mom, everybody's like, oh my God, your mom's in the military. Oh my. And so it embarrassed her. But that brings joy to my heart to just see the kids outside playing, see them running around because I've been different places and I don't think our kids understand it's not like this all over the world.
That is 100% correct. Wow, great answer. Love it. She's got a few, but I just got one more. This is Landria Wilder. She's a senior, president of our student council here. Volleyball player wants to be a nurse. That she
A
asked,
woman after my heart.
oh yeah, she's got a heck of a resume already. And I love this question. She asked, what are some things that are not talked about as far as benefits or disadvantages of the military?
I just said woman after my heart. So, what's her name again?
Landria Wilder.
Landria. I was the president of my student council for 3 years in high school. I was on the volleyball team as well. And then just and I was hoping somebody didn't ask me this type of question because I'm very transparent. Um, Disadvantages would be sometimes it is hard to swallow your pride and play politics in the military. Um, Being a female in the military has had its times at times. I'm not gonna lie to you. It depends on what the places you are. Like I've been assigned places where some males have never worked with women before,
Wow.
and they had a hard time, especially when this rank was something that they had to respect. They had a hard time. I had a unit where I was the acting first sergeant, so I was the highest ranking NCO in the entire unit.
Wow.
And the males hated me. They were all platoon sergeants that worked under me, and they hated me. Not because I was doing a bad job, but because I was a female that was in charge. And that goes back to the other question earlier, the resilience piece. I used to go home at night and cry myself to sleep because I had to figure out how to get through it because I had to understand I couldn't be Shakar from the east side of Detroit. I couldn't put that hat on and react the way I wanted to react because I had children that I had to feed. I had children who needed insurance. I had a career that I was trying to build. So I had to remember to be Sergeant First Class Johnson.
Wow.
And being Sergeant First Class Johnson came with biting my tongue, but still not accepting disrespect, but doing it in a tactful and respectful way. That is the biggest piece I would tell anyone that is hard to do. And it's not just the females. It could be sometimes people who are who has different sexual orientations. They have dealt with situations and issues. It's not the whole military because it's not the military, it's people.
There you go.
And when people who are in certain positions try to make things hard for you because their perception or their prejudice overshadows their judgment, you have to recalibrate yourself.
Wow.
I hope I answered that right.
Now, the last thing she asked is, what are some things that you've learned that you didn't think you would learn when you joined the Army?
Oh, um, so I'm a master resiliency trainer. That is a training that I never would have. When I first went to that training, they told us when we started, you are going to learn more about yourself before this training is over than you've ever done before. That training broke me, not in a bad way, in a good way. So learning resiliency and learning how to teach it to others was something I never thought that I would learn nor understand. And I feel like that changed the trajectory of my entire career because then I started to see things differently. I started to understand the whole iceberg effect that what I see with you and what you have going on is not the full picture because I can only see this part of what you have going on. I don't see everything under your sleeve. So I don't know the full picture. So it opened my mind to teach me more and to give me a different perspective.
Wow. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. And I think I speak for everybody to thank you for your service. And with Veterans Day just a few weeks away, we really hope that you take some time to reflect on the appreciation everyone has for the service to our country that you do on that day, even after you retire. To always enjoy your Veterans Day. But before we go, just as these kids are starting to make decisions, whether they're already in JROTC, whether they aren't, no matter what they decide to do as far as going to college, going to the workforce, going directly to the military, why should they really consider at least spending a short amount of time in the United States military?
They should consider it because it teaches you skills that unfortunately you're no longer learning in school anymore. And it's not because your teachers are not teaching it to you, it's because the curriculum has changed. A lot of these kids that come, I'm not come, a lot of these kids that get out of high school and go into adult life, they don't understand basic adult necessities. And even if it's not just learning a little bit about yourself as an adult, the educational piece, you can get schooling, you can get the money to go to school. Personal, yes, you can learn a lot more about yourself because if you are only used to being at home and being with mom and dad, go away and then you can learn a little bit more about responsibilities. If you know that you want to go to school and like I said earlier, mom and dad doesn't have that money put up because it's just not the world we live in anymore where people just have trust funds available to you anymore or college funds. Go into the military, get your tuition assistance, get your GI Bill. If even if you just want to get some certifications done because you know that you want to be a plumber, you know that you want to be a vet tech, you know you want to be a nurse, go into the military, get the training, let the military invest in you, give them the time because that's all they ask for in return. They don't ask for anything else, they ask for your time. That's what your contract is. We're going to give you this training and we're going to put this money into you. You give us your time back.
Wow, love it. Incredible. Well, thank you so much for taking some time for us. This is one of our best military guests we've ever had, and we just thank you so much. And we'd love to have you again after your retirement to hear about how great your career was. But all the way from Morgantown, West Virginia, my friend Sergeant Shacara Johnson. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I talk to you soon, buddy.